Hello and welcome to another exam paper walkthrough. Today I'm going to be focusing on my GCSE math series, and I'm going to be looking at a June 18 paper, and I'm going to be doing the paper 3 foundation. This is going to be an AQA pass paper, and it is going to be done as a half paper, so I'm only going to be looking at the even questions. In the description to this video, you will find a link to where you can get a copy of the paper if you've not already done or don't already have a copy. I would strongly recommend that you either do the paper before watching the video or do it alongside the video to make the most out of it. I'd also recommend having some music on in the background. I always record these videos with an ear pod in, so I have some music on in the background when I record them. It just makes them more manageable. And if you find this video useful, please do subscribe if you like and turn notifications on, and you'll get a ping every time I release a new video. Right, before I get on with recording the video, I'm also going to look at the question level analysis for this paper. That just gives you a rough idea of where you're going and the sort of marks you need for the grades that you're after. So this paper is out of 53 marks, and to get a grade 5 based on the students that sat it back in 2018, on average they needed sort of 32 marks for a grade 5, 25-ish for a grade 4, and so on. So that's really quite useful for you to keep an eye on the marks that you need for each of the grades. Also, another thing that's quite useful and that I've chose to leave in was this questions facilitated by grade. That really tells you how difficult students found each of the questions. We can see quite here question 4 on units was kind of surprisingly done quite badly across the board. And that's just quite useful in terms of if you found a question particularly difficult, it lets you know how other students fared on that. Okay, let's crack on with the paper then. Okay, so I'm going to be using a class-based calculator, one of the more modern versions. If you've got a different calculator, that's no big deal. I will talk about any functions that work differently. I won't use it straight away. We'll see when and where I need it. Okay, let's kick off then. So question 2, so odd, even questions only. So question 2, solve 3x is equal to 2 and circle your answer. So for this question, I'm going to go for this color. So I'm going to, in effect, so if I kind of show it is equal to 2, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I would get x is equal to 2/3. So I'm going for that one. Okay, question 2, circle the shortest length. So we've got all of these, and I need to find really a common unit or convert them to a common unit. I'm going to convert them into, I think, meters. So there are 100 centimeters in a meter, so that's going to be equal to 12 meters. This is going to be equal to 130 meters, and this one would be centimeters, meters, so that would be 140 meters. So circle the shortest. The shortest then is going to be 10 meters. What am I talking about? It's going to be 12 meters. So that one, 1,200 centimeters. Okay, question 6. Saj wants to go to all 19 football games at a football club. For each game, a ticket costs £28. A season ticket costs £379 and gives entry to all 19 games. How much does Saj save by buying a season ticket? So I'm going to do it in a yearly price. So I'm going to go 28. Actually, I'm going to do it as a single sum. I'm going to do 379. That's the full price minus the price. No, not. So this is going to be cheaper. So what I'm going to do is 19 times by 28. And from that, I want to subtract the season ticket price. And that will jump me straight to the answer, hopefully. Right, let's bring my calculator in. So 19 times by 28. and then subtract the season ticket price 179, and we're looking at a saving of £153. So 153. Nothing wrong with doing it in several steps. So do the multiplication first and then do the subtraction. I'm just saving a bit of time there. Right, question 8. Jim has 6 banknotes. The value of each note is 5, 10 or 20. He can make £20 with 3 notes. He can make £55 with 4 notes. He cannot make £25 with 3 notes. He cannot make £25 with 4 notes. List the 6 notes. Okay, so the first bit I'm going to look at is he can make £20 with 3 notes. So the only way that we could make that is 10 plus 5 plus 5. So that's got to be 3 of the notes. So we've got to have a 10, a 5 and a 5. So I've met that criteria, and I'm going to, just over here, I'm going to keep a list. So I've got 5, 10s and 20s. Right, the next one I'm going to look at is this one, I think. So he cannot make £25 with 3 notes. So we could make 25 if we added another 10 here. So that means that he can't have another 10. So he can only have one £10 note. And then the next criteria I'm going to look at is this one, I think. So he cannot make £20 with 4 notes. So that's implying that we can't have another £5 note. So we're done there as well. So we've got to have 2 there. Right. I think that's going to imply that the others have got to be £20 notes. So let's just see whether that works. So that would mean that would satisfy everything so far. Can he make £50 note with 4 notes? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So that's going to be my answer. 10, 5, 5, 20, 20, 20. Okay. Question 10. Here is a scale drawing. We've got a Ferris wheel and we've got a building. The Ferris wheel has a height of 130. Work out the height of the building. If I measure this with a ruler, so I've got a paper copy here as well. So if I measure this with a ruler, that's 2 centimeters. And if I measure the height here with a ruler, that's 10 centimeters. So that tells us that this one is 5 times as big. So I'm going to do 130 times by 5. So 130 times by 5 gives me 650 meters. Okay, question 12. A takeaway sells 10-inch pizzas and 12-inch pizzas. Here is some information about the numbers sold in 2 weeks. So we've got 10-inch, 12-inch and total. We've got two-way table looking at that information. So 10-inch normal offer, 12-inch normal offer. In each week, a proportion of the pizzas sold were 10 inches. In which week was the proportion greater? You must show working to support your answer. So in each week, a proportion of the pizzas were 10 inches. Right, okay, so I slightly misread the question. So we've got proportion. So in week 1, the proportion was, so I'm going to go W1. The proportion of 10-inch pizzas is going to be 512 out of 753. So 512 out of 753. And I will go decimal on that shortly. 43, sorry. But I'm just going to write my other sum down beforehand. And in week 2, the proportion of 10-inch pizzas is 758 out of 1065. Now I'll go decimal on both of them and just see which one is the bigger decimal. So 512 over 743. And I want that as a decimal. So I've got 0.689 ... And then for week 2, I've got 758 over 1065. And as a decimal, that's going to be 0.7117 ... So in which week were there a greater proportion? In week 2. Okay, part B. The table shows the profit or loss the takeaway made on each pizza. So normal price and offer price. Okay. In week 1, the total profit was 1,895.55. At the end of week 1, the takeaway spent 175 on adverts. Was the increase in profit in week 2 more than the cost of the adverts? You must show your working. Okay, so quite a few sums here. Right. So do it like this. 3.74 times by this number. Minus 51 times this number. Plus £5.29 times by this number minus I've just spotted a mistake that I've made. I need to do that in terms of pounds, so I'm going to put that as 0.51 and I'm going to do that as 0.04 times by this number. Right, now I need to find the numbers. So 10-inch normal was 396, so I need 396 there. The number that had the offer, 362. And then for the other one, I've got 164, and I've got the offer of 143. Right, provided I've typed my numbers in right now, so 3.74 times by 396. Let me just check I've got my 10 and 12 the right way around. I have. Minus 0.51 times 362 plus 5.29 times by 164 minus 0.04 times by 143. So that gives me a total profit of £2,158.26. So if they spent £175 on advertising, if I take that off my total, so I'm going to do 2158.26 minus the price I spent on advertising. So minus 175 gives me a total of £1,983.26. So was the increase in profit in week 2 more than the cost of the advert? Yes. I'm actually going to go slightly higher here, so yes. £1,983.26 is greater than 1,895.55. Okay, question 14. A triangle has a base of 9 centimeters and a perpendicular height of 5.6 centimeters. Work out the area of the triangle. So the area of a triangle is equal to a half of the base times by the perpendicular height, so 5.6. So that's going to be, so 0.5 times by 9 times by 5.6. So total area there is going to be 25.2 centimeters squared. We've got the unit there, 25.2. I got a feeling I might have pressed pause there, so just double checking. So it's area of a triangle is a half base times perpendicular height, which gives me 25.2. Okay, question 16. A sketch of triangle ABC is shown. In the space below, complete an accurate drawing of ABC. So I struggle with these accurate drawings, so I'm going to have to just cut this into a different program. Okay, so this isn't ideal, but hopefully this gives a better understanding. So the first thing I'm going to draw is a 11 centimeter line. So I've got my ruler, hopefully, and I want to draw an 11 centimeter line. So place my ruler down. I'm going to insert a line, I think. So an 11 centimeter line would take me from there to there. Okay, so I'm going to just change the color of that, hopefully. So let's go red and thicker. There we go. Right, the next thing I want to do is put my ruler to one side and take out my protractor, and I want to measure a 37-degree angle from this end point here. So to do that, I'm going to make sure I'm starting at 0 and measure 37, which would be there. So I'll put a place mark there, and then I'm going to take my ruler again. So this is the awkward bit. So I want to have a line that goes through there and through the start of the point that I just made. So that's pretty close. There we go. Right, so I want to draw an 8 centimeter line now. So again, actually what I'll do is if I control copy, control V, so this is going to be my second line. So I want it to start there, and I want to spin this round to 8 centimeters. So there's my 8 centimeter line drawn. Right, longer. And then finally, I need to join those 2 points up with another line. So again, I'm just going to hopefully save me drawing and changing the colour and weight of it. Right, so I want that to start there and to end there. And there we go. That's my, so I've got, right, yeah, so I've got an 11 centimeter line there. So I've measured that. I've got my 37-degree angle there. 37, sorry. And then finally my 8 centimeter line there. And yours should look pretty much the same as that. Yours might be slightly bigger or smaller than mine, depending on whether you're doing this in A5 or A4. But that's the method for it. Okay, let's move back to my other program. Okay, question 18. A competition took place in 1983. Takes place every 6 years. Circle the year in which it will also take place. So we want the difference between these two numbers to be a multiple of 183. Sorry, we want the difference between the years to be a multiple of 6. So I'm going to work out the difference. So I'm going to go 2083 minus my year 1983. So the first difference is 100, which isn't a multiple of 6, so it's not going to be that one. My next one is going to be 2036. So just change those two numbers. 53, which again is not a multiple of 6. Then if we do 2049, 66, which is a multiple of 6. So definitely that one. Just go with the other one. So to 20, 23. 40 is not a multiple of 6. So yeah, definitely that one. Okay, question 20. The probability that A is the outcome of an experiment is 0.2. The probability that A is the outcome of an experiment is 0.2. Circle the probability that A is not the outcome. So we're doing 1 minus 0.2, which would be 0.8. Okay, question 22. Here is the rule for a sequence. After the first two terms, each term is half the sum of the previous two terms. Okay, so these two terms add up to 12, and half of 12 is 6. These two terms add up to 16, and half of 16 is 8. These two terms add up to 14, and half of 14 is 7. These two terms add up to 15, and half of 15 is 8. Half of 15 is 7.5. Do I think that's enough? Yes, I do. So I've shown what the next three terms are. Okay. Part B, a different sequence follows the same rule. The first term is 4, the third term is 9.5. Work out the second term. Okay, so I'm going to do 9.5 times by 2 and then subtract 4. Which is going to give me 18, take away 4, which is going to be 14. Made a mistake there. So 9.5 times by 2 is 19, not 18. And then 19 take away 4 is 15. So I'm looking at 15. Okay, question 24. A is a common factor of 72, is a common factor of 72 and 120. B is a common multiple of 6 and 9. Work out the highest possible value of A over B. Okay, so highest possible, so I actually want, okay, fancy way of saying it, but I want A max divided by B minimum. So I do actually want the highest common factor of these two numbers. So I want the highest common factor of those, and I want the lowest common factor of those, lowest common factor. Lowest common multiple. There is a method on the calculator that does do your highest common factor and lowest common multiple. Not a massive fan of it though. So I tend to do, if I look at 72 and 120, if I simplify that fraction, so 72 over 120, that cancels down to 3 over 5. So the highest common factor is what it's been cancelled down by. Which is going to be 24. So 24. So I'm looking at 24 divided by the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. So again, you can do this with the same way. So 6 over 9 is the same as 1/3. So the highest common multiple is, sorry, lowest common multiple is 2/3, not 1/3. Is either 6 times 3 or 9 times 2, so it's 18. So I'm looking at the highest possible value of 24 over 18, which is 4/3 or 1 1/3. I'm going to leave it as 4/3. Okay, 26. Investment A. Save £150 per month for 2 years. 2.5% interest is added to the total amount saved. To the total amount saved. And then the other one, investment B, invest 3,500, compound interest of 3% per year. After 2 years, how much more is investment B worth than investment A? So for investment A, I'm going to do, so to do it as a single sum, I'm going to, I think that will get a bit too complicated. So I'm going to say investment A is going to be equal to 150 times by 2 times by 12. So that's the number of months that I would have, times by 2% interest added at the end. So times by, that's going to be a multiplier of 1.025 times by 1.025. So the total in the investment A is 150 times by 2 times by 12 times by 1.025. So that's going to be 3. I've missed the 0 out there, haven't I? Well, that was quite low. So the total amount in the investment is 3,690. And then the second one, investment B, is equal to 3,500 times by the multiplier of 1.03 to the power of the number of years, so to the power 2. So 3,500 times by 1.03 squared will give me a total of £3,713.15. So how much more is it worth? So I'm going to do investment B minus investment A is going to be equal to that last figure minus 3,690. So it's going to be worth £23.15. Okay, question 28. Cost of a ticket increases by 10% to £19.25. Work out the original price. So that means that x times by 1.1 is equal to £19.25. So x is going to be equal to, the initial amount is going to be equal to 19.25 divided by 1.1. So £19.25 divided by 1.1 gives me £17.50. Okay, question 30. A is 6 minus 10, B is minus 1, 2, and C is minus 4, 7. Work out the value of A, B, C. So that's going to be equal to 6 plus minus 1 plus minus 4 over minus 10 plus 2 plus 7. So that's going to be 6 minus 5, so that's going to be it's going to be 1, and then minus 10 plus 9 is going to be minus 1. So 1 minus 1. Show that A plus 2C is equal to KB, where A is an integer. Okay, right, so 6 minus 10, sorry, plus 2 lots of B, which is minus 1, 2. So that's going to become 6 minus 2 over minus 10 plus 4. That's going to become 8 minus 6, which is 2 lots of 4 minus 3. So hopefully B was minus 3, 4 minus 3. No, it's not. So I've made a mistake somewhere. Let's check where I've made my mistake. There we go. So I've made my mistake here. I've used B instead of C. So let's correct that. So C was minus 4, 7. Minus 4, 7. So 2 lots of that would be -8, and then that would be +14, which would give me -2, 4, which would be 2 lots of -1, 2, and hopefully C is -1, 2, which it is. There we go. Okay, that brings us to the end of the paper, so I'll bring up that question level analysis again before I sign off. Okay, so again, that's the question level analysis. If you've been keeping track of your marks, for a 5, you're looking at really to secure that 32 marks. For a 4, you're looking at 25-ish, and so on. I hope you found that useful. If you particularly struggled with one of those questions, the video will be chapter linked to each of the questions, so you'll have that. And I'd recommend some additional revision on those weaker areas. I have got a number of revision theories, so you might want to check those out. Hope you found that useful. Again, if you do find it useful, please do subscribe if you like. If you subscribe and turn notifications on, you'll get an update as soon as any other videos are produced. If you've got any questions, comments, or general feedback on any of the videos, please do type it into the chat and I'll get back to you fairly quickly. Thanks again for your time, and I will see you soon.